If you've ever played tennis or watched the pros on TV, you notice they get that nasty topspin on the ball. And that's because they're coming with an upswing and catching the face of the ball on the top half, dragging it across, creating that nasty topspin. Using this technique in the softball swing, you want to pretend that the bat head is just like the tennis racket. So instead of getting extended out and cutting the bottom half of the ball for a home run swing, you're lifting up, you're letting your hands not get extended as much, keeping them closer to the body. You're coming up through the ball more, trying to drag the bat head across the face of the ball, creating that topspin you need for a line drive. This style of swing can be very effective and consistent because it's so simple. Your lower body, upper body, hands, and bat head are all working together, coming up through the ball, everything working together to create that upswing, which makes it very consistent and easy to get the topspin. When I'm using this technique, it feels like my lead hand is not getting very far away from my body, not getting extended at all, so I can just drag down. Now, when combining this method with placing the ball at all fields, you create a very effective and consistent way for base hitting. This technique is something totally different, so set up the tee, practice it, and have some fun with it.
Whenever I hit for singles or base hits or anything other than a home run, I'm trying to swing, I guess you would say, less wildly at the ball. So I'm going more for control. I'll move from the overlap, put my complete bottom hand on the bat, and I may just put two hands or two fingers on the top part there, or overlap that. I don't pay a whole lot of attention with that second hand because that's just a guiding hand for me. I'm going to get a lot of the control of the bat with this bottom hand and just come in here. And what I do is that cuts down on the amount of power I have, but it greatly increases the accuracy. And from there I can do a lot of different things. If I need to hit backside, I can control that. If I need to pull the ball in the 3-4 hole, I can get out there a little closer, and just do what I want to do with the ball. When you have a controlled swing, you're not going to get the wrist snap that you would have if you had an overlap grip, because the overlap grip is going to allow the wrist to swing themselves through and just snap everything right through. With the controlled grip, you're going to get less snap, you're going to hit the top of the ball more, and get controlled line drives and a lot of topspin.
Oh, I love hitting them home runs and love to get up there. I'd give anything if Super Major Ball was still unlimited, but it's not. So we have to adjust to the game. To adjust to the game, you have to work at it in BP. And what we've done in BP, myself and my partner Rusty, even going to right field, you still want to, I don't want you to get a misinterpretation of me, but still you're going to keep this leg, you're going to keep your feet, your stance open, you're going to keep your weight back here on this back leg, and you still, only difference I'm doing is if I'm pulling the ball and I'm pulling it good, I'm getting my hands out here quicker and then rolling that bat. If I'm going to right field, I'm still back here with it, but at the last minute here, when I'm coming through, I'm trying just to let them hands, I'm just trying to just throw the hands at that ball and just throw it towards first and second. Now with that said, well, what part of the ball do you try to hit? When I go to right field or up the middle, I want to try to hit the middle of the ball if any way possible, or even a little bit of the top of it, because if you hit the top of it, then it's more likely going to be on the ground somewhere, over on the right side. So, with that being said, just remember, get them hands. If you're going to right, I never change my stance. I'm still down here, but when I come through, I'm just letting that ball get on me a little more because you have to, and then at the last minute, I just throw my hands at the ball, just trying to guide it. I shouldn't say, you don't like to use the word guide, but really when I go to right, I try to explode through it, but you're trying to just flick them hands and guide it right over there.
I'm a big guy. I always played high arc softball and always hit for a lot of power, but recently I've changed my approach when I got involved in senior softball to hit for a higher average, and I felt that's been more effective. The main change I've made from home run hitting to base hitting is I try to hit through the ball squarely and hit line drives. I'm trying to usually take the ball up through the middle of the box, and I'm swinging probably at about 60 to 70% unless the conditions are right for hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Always trying to hit a line drive and hit the center of the ball. When I swing for singles, I take a more compact swing and try to cut my margin of error down considerably and make solid contact with the ball. Most of the time in senior softball, they don't use a center infielder, so there's a huge gap up the middle, and I find it's easier to hit a base hit if I go in that direction. If I hit a line drive that carries, it's going to go to an area that there's usually not a fielder in center, in dead center.
Okay, when I try to go to right field, I cut down on my swing big time and try to hit them where they're not. And another thing, I don't use a high performance bat because I don't want the ball to carry too far. I start out with the same stance every time, but I don't want to tip them off, so I just use basically the same stance all the time. And then if I want to go to right field, I sort of point my left foot towards right field, and if I want to go to left field, I sort of go left field. I can like punch it to any field, and it doesn't have to be just right field. It can be any spot, left field or right. And by using the punch swing, I can go to like any field. You just choke up on the bat a little and then punch it right in front of the outfielders, but in back of the infielders. And you notice if I go to right field, I always hold the bat at the end, but when the pitch is in the air, sometimes I choke up like this and try to dink it between the fielders. That gives me a lot better control with the bat, and I can place it a lot better this situation also. Sometimes during the end of the tournament, when the outfielders are playing me in so shallow because I've been dinking them in front of them, then I pick up a higher quality bat and try to hit it over their heads.
I play a lot of co-ed, and I feel it's very important for a woman to be able to go to the opposite side, because in our area it's not expected, and if you do go to the opposite side, you'll come up with a bigger hit. The right fielder usually is a weaker player, so you don't have to have a great line drive hit to get a base hit.
If I want to go backside, which happens a lot now because even on the super major level, you've got home run limits. A few years ago you had home run hitters. Now it's 16 home runs a game, and with the teams that I play with, we got some guys, Hank Garris, people like that. You know, those guys are built and made to hit home runs. You don't want to take the bat out of their hands. So you try to conserve home runs. When you only have 16, you got to go backside a lot. Especially for me, being more of a base hitter, on-base guy, defensive player, I'm not a big home run threat like somebody like Hank or Brett Helmer or Jeff Hall. So what I do myself is I move up in the box. Instead of being back here in this area, I will actually move up and almost be level with the front of the plate, and I'll move a little bit farther away, still have enough plate coverage. You'll see whenever you drop your bat, you still got enough plate coverage to catch the outside pitch, and that's where I'm hoping it's thrown, middle to outside. So that's why if I get a called strike on me that's inside, I'll back up a little bit more, to whereas this is still in a situation where I can drive the ball the other way. What I do for hitting backside is I get it farther away from the plate, move up in the box, and I use the same grip that I use when I'm pulling the ball. I just keep the bat up, and when I see the ball coming, I wait, I let it get past me a little bit. Instead of catching it out here to drive it in the air, pulling the ball, what I'll do is I will step toward the pitcher, almost toward pitcher and shortstop area. I won't step out this way, I won't step straight, but I'll step a little bit like this, and I'll drive the ball, hitting the ball back on me this way. I want to get all parts of the plate, and I want to be able to hit the ball hard as I can through spots or through holes on the backside. I do cut down on my swing a little bit, and I just try to catch the middle of the ball and drive it. Actually for me, it's try to control the ball more, so I don't want to try to hit the bottom or top half or try to loop it over somewhere. Basically, to control the ball more, I try to hit it exactly in the middle, and that way I've got a little bit margin for error. And you know, sometimes you get those humpbacks backside, or sometimes you can hit them flares when you catch the bottom of the ball. I've got to practice and practice and practice. So that's what's important to me is getting everything down, getting my timing, getting the bat head out, and that takes practice. So that's my best tip for myself, is to practice, practice, practice.
I want to talk about a simple focus about going the right field. Let's face it, in a game you want to be a complete hitter and go all fields, but what you don't want to do is give away when you're going the right field. So many times, if any of you play infield or if you've played this game a lot before, then you know what happens. A guy comes to the back plate to the dish and gets himself maybe an extra foot off the plate, and right away the infielders know, hey, this person's trying to hit backside. So what I like to do is when I get in the box, I don't want to telegraph or let the defense know where I'm going, which, let's face it, when you're playing on the other side of the field, that becomes a problem, because if you can hit backside and you can hit backside with authority, and when you want to hit backside, you become that complete player. When I go backside again, when we talk about telegraphing it, so many players come off the plate or they do the two-step where they back up. A lot of people say, well, you can't react in time to that if you're the defense, but I disagree. Because if you start telegraphing and you're going to go backside, all that infielder needs is maybe 1 or 2 extra steps to get that jump on you and make a dive and stop that ball and keep you to possibly a single or possibly getting a force at a base. What I want to do is when those fielders look at me, they don't know. They say, hey, he just pulled the ball through the 5-6 hole the first time. He must be going there again, because his feet, his stance, and everything at the plate is the same. But what I like to do is when the pitcher delivers the ball to me, whether it's in the middle or it's toward the outside, now preferably I'd like a middle out pitch. Obviously it makes it much easier to go that way, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way all the time. What I like to do is get in the box, get set with my normal stance, my normal hands, position, and feet and all, but as the ball starts to get in on me or starts to come in on the plate, instead of getting it further out in front to pull it, what I'll do is wait till the ball gets a little bit deeper on the plate, and just to get myself a little time and a release, I'll lift my foot, and as I lift my foot, what I'll do is I'll let the ball get a little bit further on the plate and just point and drive that way in that direction. Now you just saw me dip. I'm not looking to dip. When the ball comes in, I'm waiting, looks like I'm going to drive it. I lift and I go straight that way to right field. When I end up, I'm pointing right at the right fielder or the first baseman or second baseman. Generally, I'm looking to go through that hole over there or over top of the first baseman's head. And again, there's no telegraphing of it. No one knows it's coming, because it's standard stance, standard looking at the pitcher. And when that ball comes and you let it get just a little bit deeper, that's when you jump, explode, and go to that right field position.
If there's a big hole between first and second or a right fielder that I want to pick on, I'll just dance in the box and I have a finesse swing. I'll make sure I'll hit the ball back here behind me, the right angle, and just dump it over into right field. Or you don't have to say that you have to dump it. I mean, you can dance and blast it through that first, second hole as well. There we go. That's just the reason I move my feet, is so I can get in a position. So that's almost my pole swing there. Now, the only thing you got to be careful of, if there's a definitive box or an anal umpire of someone once in a while calling you out of the box. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for all the umpires I've ever had. I've been thrown out of one game and it was a total misunderstanding. So when I say this, please don't take it the wrong way. But a lot of times the umpires are standing in places where fielders don't want them in their way, outfielders don't want them in their way, infielders don't want them in their way. So where they're standing, not the umpires themselves, are a good place to aim for a base hit through the infield.
Here's a little bit of an explanation of what I try to do when I hit opposite field. This is a technique that my dad taught me actually 30 years ago in a father-son game, and I learned it the hard way because I was playing first base and he was a right-handed hitter, and just to mess with me, he took a little two-step in the box and ripped the line drive right between me and the first base line, and I never forgot it. Now 30 years later, I'm able to use it myself, and the key to going opposite field is to bring your back heel to your front foot. Once you establish that, then you can step toward the direction you want to hit, and everything else falls into place. This is different than some of the regular two-step hitters that you see who will do nothing more than just slide up in the box to meet the pitch. This is a specific technique to go opposite field. And the way to do it is to put your weight on your front foot when the pitch is delivered, bring your rear heel to your front heel, which turns the angles of your hips, then you can step to the direction you want to hit. The two-step to go opposite field is a dance that you play with the pitcher. When the pitcher releases the ball, you shift your weight to your front foot. As the ball is reaching the top of its arc, you're bringing your rear heel to your front heel. Then as the ball is coming down, you're striding in the direction you want to hit. Now your hips are in a different angle from where you started, and you can hit the ball to the opposite field out in front of the plate. Because the opposite field swing, the two-step, takes less effort than your regular swing, best times to work on it are right at the beginning of your practice when you're warming up, and right at the end when you're a little bit tired. Make sure to work on your opposite field hitting next time you go out and practice. Not bad.
One way to base hit is to back up deeper in the box and get that short pitch. And get that short pitch and get down on the same plane as that short pitch and try to hit knee-high balls through whichever your best hole is in the infielder. If they're not playing five-man, then obviously not at the pitcher, but by the pitcher is the easiest hole to hit. And with my swing, if I swing at that short pitch, I can confidently go at it as hard as I want to, knowing it's going to be very difficult for me to drive it out of the park, knowing that I can just hit lasers through the infield or something that somebody may or may not want to get in front of.
Now, just like in the power segment, we're going to try and refine our skills using the batting tee and then eventually progress on to live pitching. If you don't have a piece of netting like this, the Jugs Instant Screen works excellent. You just simply move your body around so you're hitting into the net. In power hitting, there's basically only two different styles, but there's so many adjustments you use in base hitting that you have to personalize the ones that work best for you for your own needs. A key point to remember is that when you're switching to the base hitting techniques, your top hand guides and pushes a lot more. After you've used the cup grip for a while like myself, it's hard to go back to the conventional grip when base hitting. So we've developed something that we've never seen anywhere else, a new technique, a new grip, which is called the reverse cup grip. And that entails just taking your top hand, gripping the bottom of the bat, and just reverse cupping it just like you would on a normal cup grip. So using this reverse cup grip, you still get the great top hand control with the comfort of a cup swing. This is my normal stance in USSSA ball where I put my front foot lined up with the corner of the plate. But when you're playing ASA or high arc ball, the arc of the ball is going to be different, so you want to get back a little bit more. You don't want that arc of the pitch coming across your chest. You want the ball to land out in front of you so you can still swing the same way, but you get the pitch out in front of you so you can drive it. But if you look out at the arc of the ball and you see it's going to land short, you can move up a little bit during the pitch, make sure that it comes back waist deep and it gets behind you a little bit, and you can drive that opposite field or backside. What you don't want is that deep pitch coming back across your chest where you run the risk of hitting underneath it and hitting that weak fly out. So that's why you stand back in the box, hopefully to get a shorter pitch on you. Generally speaking, you want to get a pitch that's waist level or lower because it's a lot easier to hit the top half of the ball due to our hand and bat head position. It takes some coordination, but a lot of guys like to walk up on every pitch, and they like the timing aspect of it. So even in USSSA, if you see the ball coming in and they walk up on every pitch, the advantage is that you get a pitch in your zone almost every time. Whether it's short or deep, you can adjust the way that you walk up to get that pitch. The disadvantage is that there's more motion involved, and thus that might create timing problems. The top spin for power. You want to get a pitch out in front of you and inside, use your rotational mechanics, aim at the top half of the ball, and swing away hard. Now I'm going to use the top spin with power, but to hit backside. So I let the pitch get back into my body and a little bit outside, and use the no-tip step like Gene Smith showed. For the low ball blast, you want to get a pitch that's about knee-high in front of you. You might even want to get back in the box a little bit to assure that. You use your normal rotational mechanics, get down low and blast through the ball. The low ball blast is effective to all fields, so you just want to let the pitch get deeper into you and still at the knee-high level, use your same mechanics and blast it the other way. Move the tee around so you practice both these techniques to all fields, making them most effective. Again, you have the proper tee placement. Now I'm going to do the two-step backside with hard topspin. Now I'm going to use the linear punch swing. I want to try and hit it right over the pitcher's head. It's more of a finesse swing. I'm cutting my swing down a little bit, and both my hands are pushing the bat head through the ball, and I'm taking a longer step and coming into it. I'm going to use the punch swing to go backside, and I'm going to use the no-tip method where I just lift my foot up and drive it the other way. Now I'm going to use the walk-up method to go backside, and it's different than the two-step because using the walk-up, I'm just changing the position of the pitch so it gets deeper back on my body and makes it easier to go the other way. In the two-step, I stand in my normal stance, and I just changed my hip position so I can go backside with my full power. You never want to try and pull an outside short pitch or try and go backside with it, so you either want to use the walk up to change the position of the pitch on your body, or else use the low ball blast the other way. Even with a poor swing, you may hit well at times, but remember to videotape and analyze your swing because you'll never hit consistently with a major flaw. Don't focus all your attention on physical work and be lazy mentally when it comes to game time. So if you have an hour before your next game and your opponent is playing, go out there, scout the pitcher, because a lot of times you'll pick up tendencies on what pitches he's throwing or what habits he has. You may have noticed that we left off hitting backside for power in the power segment, and that's because we wanted to keep it fresh for right now in this segment. And there's really only a small change in hitting backside for base hitting as opposed to hitting for power. And so after you take your two-step and you're in the position, instead of leading the knob of the bat at the top half of the ball to create the topspin, you're leading the knob of the bat at the bottom half of the ball, just like for your normal power mechanics. That creates the good bat lag and the hard snap into the bottom half of the ball. By hitting the ball out in front of you and getting that hard underspin, it will give you tremendous power backside, taking advantage of wind, sun, defensive, and field conditions. A tip to you tomahawkers, just like with the rotational mechanics, you need to work on getting the lead arm extended so the bat snaps through naturally. A similar technique to the low ball blast that the tomahawkers like to use for base hitting is called the beatdown. And that's simply using the tomahawk style swing, hitting the top and back of the ball down with a radical cut angle. This technique creates some wicked shots that are hard to field and can be placed in gaps. Some guys are very effective at it. There's a very crisp and technical aspect to the rotational power swing with the lead arm extension and bat snap through the ball. Whereas the push swing for base hitting is a much more linear type swing that you have to get a feel for. It's much less rotational and everything is coming ahead, pushing the bat head into the ball, allowing you to place it to all fields with different speeds. Be aware that the end load of a bat will affect your performance and bat control, so experiment with different bats and find one that best suits your needs. If you're serious about improving your softball game, then you have to be serious about practicing. What good does it do to religiously lift every day if you never work on technique? So practice 5 minutes a day for a month and see how much you improve. You might be amazed. As you can see, there's many variations for attacking the defense. After you've refined your skills off the tee and you move on to live batting practice, get some of those orange surveyor flags and place them on the infield and outfield so you can aim at them and eventually become the master of placing the ball.